So we have really massive news when it comes to competitive Warhammer 40,000. It's just really big news for the whole ITC 2025 season. And we're going to talk to you about everything that you have to know. So if you play tournaments or you're thinking about jumping into competitive 40k, there's just some huge major updates about how tournaments are run, how rankings work, and even how some of the games are going to be played. They even gave us little tips and hints about what's coming up in the new mission, competitive mission pack. So like the new, not Pride Nexus, but the new whatever it's going to be, which is probably going to be in Dame Knockman's something if the Crusade preview is anything. Anyway, let's get into the video. So listen, ITC is growing super fast. This is very, very exciting. Competitive 40k has exploded over the last few years. I know originally it was something like 2% of players were playing competitively, and then it had jumped to 5%, and now it's actually jumping even higher. So there are a massive explosion amount of tournaments. More people are playing than ever. And that's just freaking awesome for our hobby. But, you know, with growth is going to come some growing pains. So a lot of your tournament organizers have had really tough time keeping up. Rankings for ITC points for international ranking systems and stuff has become a little messy. And players have been asking for better systems to track performances fairly. So we have the ITC 2025 updates, and they're coming in. So Games Workshop, Best Coast Pairings, and a bunch of your top event organizers have all worked together to make things smoother, fairer, and more fun for everyone. So we're going to talk about the 5 biggest changes that you need to know out of this article. And of course, you could just read the article yourself, but who wants to read an article when some random guy on the internet can read it for you? So basically, what's changing in ITC 2025? Well, these are the 5 things. I'll break them down for you. First off, you're just going to get better tools for tournament organizers. It's going to be less hassle, and you're going to have smoother events. 2, you're going to have more accurate player rankings than previously. There were really big issues previously with your player rankings because it was more just about whoever went to the most tournaments kind of had the highest ranking, which is really not the best way to do things. And it's still not perfect, but it's going to be a little bit better than that. Now we have, you're going to have new tournament formats. We're going to have mission updates, which means that there's going to be more ways to play and compete. Because one of the interesting things about the way that the recommended mission packs work now is they're really designed for GTs. They're not really designed for smaller tournaments. They're not designed for one-day RTTs. And it can create kind of an imbalance of missions for those RTTs. So they're going to give an update to that. The golden ticket system has actually changed yet again, and you're going to have a new country ranking system. So there's going to be more ways to qualify for the World Championships and represent your country, which is pretty darn cool. And then lastly, there's something that's a little controversial, which I'm not so sure how I feel about, but I think the intent behind it is good. They're integrating your My Warhammer accounts. So this is going to presumably streamline player tracking and event participation. So we're going to go through each one of those things that I just mentioned, and I'm going to go into detail. So basically, when we're looking at running tournaments is just going to get a little bit easier. If you've ever talked to a tournament organizer, or you are a tournament organizer, I'm a tournament organizer now, and I can tell you, it's a bit of a headache. It can be a problem when you're keeping track of players, pairings, scores, stuff like that, especially when you're running your bigger events, and ITC 2025 is introducing new tools to make that better. So you're getting better software for pairings and scoring, which is really cool. Best Coast Pairings is rolling out updates, thank goodness, and that should make scoring a lot more accurate and faster to update. So if you guys have ever experienced Best Coast Pairings, while it is the most common basically tracking system for people to enter scores and to just organize tournaments in general, and it actually does do a pretty good job, it is buggy. Sometimes you'll just have to like repair rounds like 3 times. I know we had to do this at the World Championships. Sometimes you'll have to manually fix the scores. It just gets very, very frustrating for the tournament organizers. Although a lot of the players may not see that stuff. They just think, why is this taking so long? Then we're going to have clearer terrain guidelines. So your TOs are getting more preset terrain layouts for different event sizes. So that's whether you're running a super major, an RTT, or a GT. And this is going to make tournament boards more balanced and standardized across the entire ITC, which is awesome. Organizer toolkit with templates and guides. So if you're a TO, you're now going to have a full guide on how to run a great event, including score sheets, tiebreaker rules, even tips on how to get your sponsorships and prize supports, which, guys, that's really freaking huge, because as competitive 40k is growing, guys, we're actually probably moving into a world where you're going to have professional Warhammer 40k players, and not just guys like me who talk on the internet for a living. Like, you're going to have people who play the game and are going to start making money. I've got another video coming up on just how big Warhammer is getting in comparison to like other sci-fi factions. And guys, I'm serious when I say that in the next 3 to 4 years, Warhammer is going to be bigger than Star Wars. So there's that. But basically, yeah, so running tournaments is just going to get a lot easier, and that's cool. So the number two thing we're talking about, we're having a new, more balanced and fair ranking system, which is pretty dang cool. One of the biggest issues with your ITC rankings previously has been how points are really calculated, where a lot of players have felt like rankings rewarded people who just play the most events, and honestly, they feel that way because it's true. So basically, you get more rewarded for playing more events than you do for performing the best. So this is actually getting changed in 2025, and this is a good change. I'm not saying it's a perfect change, but it's a good change. And basically, that's the entire story of Games Workshop. They're just consistently making things better. That doesn't mean everything they're doing is ideal and everything is perfect, and we all just have to like simp fanboy over everything. Although I do kind of like Games Workshop at this point. But they're just making things better. So here we go. You're getting a refined scoring system. So now your rankings are going to be based on your best events rather than just how many tournaments that you attend. You're getting a better strength of schedule, or SOS. So the way your opponent's skill level is going to factor into your rankings is really getting adjusted. So it's basically going to more accurately reflect how tough your games were, not just how many games you played. So if you played in a GT and you happened to beat, I don't know, 5 super major winners, well, you're going to get more points for beating these previous super major winners than you might for beating people who are playing their first tournament ever. And honestly, that's the way it should be. GT and major event points are going to be tweaked. So bigger events are still going to matter more for rankings, but the way points are going to be weighted a little bit more balanced so that your mid-sized events don't give too few points, and your very small events don't give too many points. So they're trying to rebalance which size of event gives how many points. And this is actually a really big deal because I know like last year, I think it was, I think I was talking to my buddy Shetzel. He's the admin of my Discord, if you guys know him. And he actually received more points for an RTT than he did for playing at the World Team Championships of Warhammer, which is kind of crazy. A little bit wild. So basically, overall, the update for the ITC this year is going to reward actual player skill and performance a lot more than just how many events you really attend to. Now, step number 3 that they're talking about in the article, really cool. More tournament options and missions are being changed. This is pretty dang cool. So not every event is a standard singles tournament. Sometimes we're going to have team tournaments. Sometimes you're going to have doubles tournaments. So there's going to be new options for actually hosting those style tournaments. This could be actually very, very interesting. What if doubles becomes a real thing? Which I've always found that it's kind of silly and not something that, is really a big deal. But it could be a really interesting option. So basically, we're getting updated mission packs, expect tweaks to deployment maps, secondary objectives, and train rules to improve balance and keep things nice and fresh. This is basically what we always expect from our chapter approves, and they're just basically confirming, yeah, we're getting a new chapter approved. Alternate event formats are now going to count. So team tournaments, double events, like we just said, they're going to have separate categories in your ITC rankings, and it's not going to replace singles rankings. Thank goodness. This is actually really, really good because it's like, what if you have a relatively low level player on a team that does amazing? That low level player shouldn't get a high level singles ranking because of that, right? It's just the way things should be done. So teams rankings are going to be teams, singles are going to be singles, and doubles will be doubles. Then you have interesting. They're going to say faster round times and tiebreaker rules. This is interesting. So I'm not sure what this really meant when they said this, but basically it seems like the ITC wants to speed up slow rounds and make tiebreakers clearer so that your events don't get bogged down waiting for rulings. That's very, very fascinating. I know that might not be a very popular change. Does this mean that we're going to see 2.5 hour rounds to be standardized at tournaments? I'm not sure. And then number 4, we're going to talk about how golden tickets are going to be done. So golden tickets are going to be very similar to the past, where if you win a qualifying event, you're going to get a golden ticket to be sent to you so that you can travel to the World Championships of Warhammer in Atlanta, Georgia, which I am so excited to go to again this year. Last year I broke even. I want to get past that. I had one bad experience that I'm not going to rehash here, but it was just overall an amazing experience, and I'm really excited to go back and cut my teeth a little bit more. But basically, now they're going to expand golden tickets a little bit, so more events are going to award golden tickets. So there's going to be more ways to earn your spot to the World Championships. And those events are going to be clearly marked in the ITC systems. Now, the reason why they're doing this, I think, is because since they're going to separate teams tournaments in separate leagues, they're no longer going to be, this is speculation, by the way, they're no longer going to be awarding golden tickets to the singles event to people who win teams events, which I think is a really good idea. Because last year you had people who were members of an 8-man team who happened to win, so all people got a golden ticket and they went to the singles events. And I think that was pretty weird. I didn't like that, and a lot of people didn't like that. Some people did. It's okay. People are allowed to disagree. They're wrong, but they're allowed to disagree. So I don't think that's going to happen anymore because it's going to be in their own separate categories, which is a really, really good thing. But you're going to have a new country rankings. So the ITC is adding national leaderboards so players get to see how they rank within their own country, and you don't just have to rely on the old ITT system. And that is a very, very big deal. You're also going to be awarding a golden ticket to the people who have the highest ITC ranking in each individual country. So even if you don't win a qualifying event, if you have the highest ranking in your country, you're going to get a ticket. So I think that's actually really cool. I think that's a good change. And then lastly, the last thing is they're doing the My Warhammer account integration, and they're telling you like what you need to do. This is interesting. So basically what they're saying is players are encouraged to link their My Warhammer account to their ITC profile. And this is going to allow tournament results to be accurately tracked and verified, reducing errors in, making rankings more accurate. I don't know if that's actually true. It seems to me like it's a data grab, but who knows? So basically your ITC ranking is going to update seamlessly after every single tournament instead of just doing it in BCP like you're going to do it anyway. I don't know. Future potential for in-game stat tracking and faction win rates. I think that's just loading it right into your GW app, but you already have kind of access to it. I don't know. It's a little bit weird. There are going to be awarding bonus points, ITC points, for linking your apps, and they're going to award double bonus points if your TO links the apps. Dude, it's a weird way to encourage things. I don't think I like it, but who knows? Maybe it should be okay. And it's probably a system they're going to improve on in the future. I think it's probably a little bit of a gamey, and they're just trying to get people to sign up for My Warhammer more. But, it is what it is. So basically, and that's basically it. So there's the breakdown of all the big ITC 2025 changes. If you're a competitive player, these updates are going to impact how you play, rank, and compete. So what do you think about the changes? If you like the new ranking system, or are you excited about the mission updates, drop a comment down below. Let me know, because guys, I love these conversations, and I always respond to pretty much every single comment, unless it's a stupid comment, and then I don't respond. Unless it's super stupid and I have to correct you. And then I do respond. Anyway, happy crumping, and we'll be back with another video tomorrow. Bye-bye.